Hey there. Okay, so I am starting a series about fear and common fears, and I wanted to kick it off with something that is near and dear to my heart, which is overcoming common mom fears. So I have 5 kids, and 2 of my children have special needs, and I very much understand mom fear deeply. I understand the paralysis that comes with it. I understand the second guessing, the guilt, the shame. Oh my goodness. And I definitely understand how isolating it can feel. I know what it's like to fear that you are failing as a mom, that you're letting your kids down, or that something's going to happen to you, or that you're not getting it and that you're going to mess your kids up. And it is such a big job. It's so stressful. And many of us very much lack the support systems necessary to feel really good and confident in this area of our lives. There's all kinds of pressure around us all the time. And in so many ways, we're so hard on each other that it's hard not to feel afraid. So today I really want to talk about that. And I'm going to have a little more twist on this because I'm a special needs mom. And when you're a special needs mom, everything about the category of fear is a million times magnified, because a lot of the things that special needs moms worry about are very aligned, but because of their children's unique needs, they are sometimes more complicated and sometimes harder to get support with. So I'm going to also talk a lot about that. First of all, I want to talk about the initial fear of being a mom. That fear that you will not know what you're doing, the fear that you're going to mess it up, the fear that you're never going to figure it out. And it's kind of a funny thing to alleviate that fear in this way, but that one's true. And it's okay sometimes to know that something is true and to be able to make peace with it. And this is one of those fears that you have to make peace with. No one knows what they're doing. Even the people who are pretending that they know what they're doing, they do not know what they're doing. No one knows what they're doing. No one is doing it perfectly. And even the best of parents are actually struggling because every child is different. Every child's needs are different. No two children are alike, even if they're genetically the same. Even if they're identical twins, they will have different needs. And so it's really, really important to recognize that you are doing the best you can and that you're not going to get it right, and to give yourself grace. And in this way, we have this really unique opportunity to teach our children how to process making mistakes, how to give themselves grace, how to forgive themselves. In this way, we have the opportunity to show up for our kids in a very, very human way. And I want you to think really hard. Are you more inspired by someone who's doing it perfect all the time? Or are you more inspired by someone who is still trying? And 99% of the time, most of us are more inspired by the underdog. Most of us are not inspired by the person who naturally has all the talent in the world and is doing it all right. We're inspired by the person who is working hard at it, who is practicing, and who is trying, and who's learning from their mistakes and growing. Make sure that you are honest with your kids. Make sure that you tell them that you're sorry when you are, genuinely. Make sure that you tell them we're all doing the best we can. And that's enough. That's what matters most here. Your willingness to accept that the fear that you don't know what you're doing, the fear that you're going to make mistakes, the fear that you're going to mess this up, that fear isn't a fear at all. It's a reality. And that reality is necessary to the emotional well-being of your children, to their safety and psychological health is so very important. When you reframe that fear and you recognize the amazing opportunity it presents, you will be absolutely amazed at how easy it is to overcome it. The next fear that a lot of us struggle with as parents, and I want to say for special needs parents, this is really heightened, is the fear that we will die. Some of you were like, whoa, that was shocking. I can't believe she just dropped that like that. But most parents actually fear that they will die before their children are grown or before their children are independent. And that can be a really profoundly frightening fear. It's very, very important to make the plans necessary if something should happen to you. It can happen. It can happen. This happened in my family. My father actually passed away when my sister was only 11 years old. And having a plan in place has always been really, really important to our family. So we've always had life insurance. We've always had a will. We've always had a legal guardian. We've always had a trustee. And it is not as expensive as you think it is, or as you may think it is, to get yourself legally in order so that your kids are cared for if something should happen to you. However, also recognize that that is incredibly unlikely. Unless you are taking unnecessary risks in your life, it is actually very unlikely that you are going to pass away before your children become independent adults. However, if you are a special needs parent and your child has extensive needs and they're not likely to be able to live independently, it is much more important that you have created a lot of clarity about what needs to happen for your child should something happen to you. And it may also be very important to ensure that whoever is responsible for caring for your child is already very present in your life. And by the way, that's true either way. If something were to happen to you, you don't want your children to meet their legal guardian for the first time. But making sure that that person is present in their life now and very present is really, really helpful and beneficial, or that those programs are somehow accessible now. I think of this especially because I have a child with autism, and so I'm part of that community, and change and transition is very difficult. In addition, having really good life insurance that would provide for therapy for your child is really, really helpful. So, the best way to address the fear of dying is to be prepared. And by the way, in my opinion, be overly prepared, especially if you're a special needs parent. Um, my natural propensity for hypervigilance actually lent really well into this, but it's not a difficult thing to find out what you need. You can talk to an attorney, you can even Google what you need to have in place if you die. By the way, make sure that you look up for your state specifically because this varies from state to state. The third thing that a lot of parents actually worry about is whether or not their children will be prepared for adulthood. Again, this is a thing that it is really important to dig into, and you can find all sorts of resources about the things your children need to do to be ready for adulthood. It can be really frightening to wonder if your children are going to be able to launch. It can also be really frightening to think about whether or not your children are going to be able to provide for themselves financially. This has become a huge concern generationally. Is the will they be able to get a job? Will they be able to take care of themselves in a home? There are certain things that you can do to help your children better prepare for their future. And it is a really good idea to crowdsource that. And again, to actually put that into action. The next thing that you might be fearful of, and I know that this has been a really prevalent one in my family. I have two granddaughters, and one of my daughters actually, after she had her child, went back to school and is now getting a master's degree in sustainability because she is just absolutely so fearful about the state of the world and climate change and how that will impact her child. I think it's really, really important if this is a concern for you, whether it be the state of the world, the state of society. I know for a lot of parents that it's been very much front of mind, and I'm in Michigan, so we had we had a school shooting here last year. Is school violence and school shootings, and environmental issues. If any of these things are concerns for you, it's really important to get involved. It's really important to do what you can, whether that's changing your lifestyle, petitioning for change, voting, protesting, to really get involved in these causes that are really important to you and that you feel are important to your children. One of the things that can really help alleviate fear is feeling like you're taking action, feeling like you're doing something. I understand that these problems are huge. I understand that it can feel like your one little voice or your one little signature or your one little that it won't matter. But if all the people who thought that actually did something, it would create change. And it has, historically, it has happened that people banding together or people doing very, very what appeared to be small things has made drastic change in our history. So I very much want to encourage you to get involved with that cause to help make the change to the thing that you fear will be impactful to your child. And last but not least, I want to remind you, I want to remind all of you that parenting is the hardest job. It is the hardest job. It was never meant to be done by one person or by two people. It was meant to be done as a community. And that is not something that we do so much anymore. Please lean into your people. Please get help from your support system. Please connect with like-minded people, and please disconnect from anyone that is creating more fear or more doubt or more shame. I have to tell you, my fourth child has autism, and I talk about them all the time because they always have said the most wise and enlightening things. And one time they said to me, adults don't make any sense, especially parents, because they're always so afraid that they're missing it. They're always so afraid that they're messing up. They're always so afraid that they're not the best parents, and they feel so guilty and ashamed. But what they don't know is that if you care about being the best parent, you already are. It still makes me tear up, even now. You already are, because you care. Having these fears and caring that much is what makes you the best parent. And sometimes we forget that. So maybe make yourself a little Post-it note and remind yourself of that, because we all need that reminder. You are absolutely amazing, and you're navigating something really difficult, and you are doing a phenomenal job. If no one has told you that, let me be the one to remind you, because you need that reminder. You deserve to live the life that you've been dreaming of. You deserve to live free from fear and to be deeply satisfied with your life. You 100% deserve it, and you are already an amazing and incredible parent. And you need to know that. You need to know that. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel. I am always sharing ways to reduce overwhelm, to reduce stress, to live your very best life, and to simplify everything in your life and make it all so much easier so you can accomplish your goals. I am so happy that you are here. Bye, everyone.